NATO has issued a warning to Russia after a series of airspace violations over Estonia, Poland, and Romania. During urgent talks on Tuesday, the alliance accused Moscow of ramping up its campaign of incursions in NATO member states. For more on this, let's turn to DW correspondent Chiponda Chimbelu in Berlin. Chiponda, what's the latest?
Well, on Tuesday, U.S. President Donald Trump said NATO should shoot down Russian jets that enter the airspace of NATO member states. Now, that statement came on the same day that the U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio suggested NATO countries only intercept Russian jets rather than shooting them down. Now, that, of course, suggests a bit of ambiguity coming from the White House. But also on Tuesday, we did hear from NATO itself, which did say it would use all the necessary military and non-military tools to defend itself as it faces a pattern of what it calls increasing irresponsible behavior by Moscow. Now, last Friday, Estonia said 3 Russian fighter jets violated its airspace for 12 minutes before being escorted out by NATO Italian fighter jets. The Kremlin has denied it entered Estonian airspace, but of course, that is something that is very difficult for people in Europe to believe, given that Russia now has a series of reports of airspace incursions across parts of Europe. NATO members Norway, Poland, Romania, and Croatia have all reported airspace violations by Russia this year alone.
And how is the alliance expected to respond?
Well, some security analysts say that Russia may be violating the airspace of NATO member states to see how far it can go and what the alliance's response will be. So far, what we have seen following the latest incursion in Estonia is that country invoke the alliance's Article 4. Now, that allows NATO members to consult on a matter of security linked to a member state. And that is what we saw happening on Tuesday. That is, of course, something that also Poland did earlier this month after it shot down Russian drones that had entered its airspace. Now, these consultations can lead to a joint decision on action by NATO, but it doesn't require the alliance to come up with a collective response. Now, that is something that would, of course, only happen in a case where a NATO member invokes Article 5, which pretty much says that an attack on one member state is an attack on the whole alliance.
And what do you think we should be watching for in the coming days?
We should be looking to Denmark as well. That's where there was another drone incident this week. Airports in Copenhagen and Oslo were closed for hours on Monday night. And that was after unidentified drones in the airspace led to the cancellation of dozens of flights. Now, the Danish Prime Minister, Mette Frederiksen, said that she could not rule out that Russia was behind that incident. So we do have to wait and see what more the Danish authorities can say about it. Now, in terms of NATO, the alliance has been ramping up its security. It launched a mission called Eastern Sentry this month, and that is an effort to better protect its Eastern European member states. Now, that mission is pretty much a response to Russia's violation of Polish airspace 2 weeks ago. Now, the mission integrates military capabilities that can better deal with drones, which have been, of course, widely used in Russia's airspace violations.
All right, Chiponda, thank you so much for all those updates.